Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us in the comments. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. In fact, they don't even read the comments. So I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And I think we're well on our way to doing this. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we all feel excited to be part of. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about what's Lamar's new playoff narrative. Now that he beat the Texans and kind of this whole thing, as we can see with the quote up there right now. So let's just jump right into it and see what they have to say.
Texans, and the good news is he won. Jamison Hensley writing that he vanquished his playoff narrative in one game. Jackson shattered the narrative that he couldn't win in the postseason after just one playoff victory in his first 5 seasons. Here's Lamar. If they do win, it's not going to be surprising. Does Lamar need to beat the Chiefs?
I sense the Chiefs guys
I'm just saying
hedging. Y'all want to come over?
I've considered it.
I offered this to you a month ago. They've kicked you out.
Exactly.
Yeah. How long does he have to come over to my side?
Well, right now he's an NFL orphan, so he can go wherever he wants.
But I'm giving you
the
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Tomorrow's the deadline.
Tomorrow's the deadline.
All right, go ahead. What's the question?
Oh, the official question. Does Lamar need to beat the Chiefs to officially rewrite the underwhelming playoff performer narrative?
No. Look, there's never any shame in losing to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you just showed us the numbers you've been showing us. If you lose to Mahomes, I said it yesterday. Do we slight Patrick Ewing because you lost to Michael Jordan? No. So if he loses to Mahomes, assuming he plays fairly well.
Doesn't melt down.
Yeah, then no, there's no shame. Now, I think a few things need to be. I think he did dispel the myth that he can't play well or win in the playoffs. One, I don't.
So I just want to interject real fast because I do want to say that I think that's not completely true. I think there is no shame in losing to Patrick Mahomes, but I think the Lamar Jacksons of the world right now, of the NFL, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, I'll even throw, no, let's just leave it at that list right now. Those are the quarterbacks that we see as truly bona fide, undoubtedly, unquestionably elite. Again, unless you're a hater. And the whole idea is that these players kind of have the narrative of like, no, Patrick Mahomes is not special. We are just as good as Patrick Mahomes, and we can beat Patrick Mahomes given, a fair fight, right? And that may or may not be true. Right. Again, I stand by the fact that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have the amazing luxury of, one, having a better roster for all these years, and two, have better coaching, having Andy freaking Reid. That is not no small thing. That is a big deal. All these other quarterbacks have kind of floated around with different OCs and different players and different this, and Patrick Mahomes has had the steady hand of Andy Reid more than anything, and Travis Kelce for that matter. And again, I'm going to keep saying that really, really matters. That's not to say that Patrick Mahomes isn't elite and that Patrick Mahomes isn't better than those quarterbacks. It's just that those clearly benefited him. So it ends up being a slight because Lamar Jackson believes in his heart he's better than Patrick Mahomes, that he's the best quarterback in the NFL. That's what they believe. And I don't blame them for believing that. Again, whether it's true or not, it really doesn't matter. So I think that that's what they want to see. So it ends up being a slight. If none of those quarterbacks end up being even remotely comparable to a Patrick Mahomes, then yeah, there's no shame, right? Then you can be like, hey man, I lost to Patrick Mahomes. I got to give it up to him. He's the best. He's the GOAT or whatever. But in this moment, in 2024, while all these players are in their prime, Joe Burrow doesn't look at Patrick Mahomes as being better than him. He does not look at that at all. Josh Allen doesn't look at Patrick Mahomes that he's better than him. And Lamar Jackson doesn't either. And again, the debate right now isn't whether that's true or not, right? So again, save it. Don't come flooding me with comments right now telling me all the reasons why Patrick Mahomes is better than Lamar Jackson or any of these other players. That's not the discussion right now. It's not. But what I'm really trying to tell you is that, you know, Lamar in his world and the Ravens and that fan base are like, nah, we are good. Lamar is elite. Lamar can do things that Patrick Mahomes could only dream of doing. And so I think losing does. I think in the grand scheme of things, right? If you look at the NFL over a 30-year window, and now it's like 2060 or whatever, and we look back on Lamar Jackson's career and Patrick Mahomes and all this, and we see, oh yeah, he lost, he couldn't beat Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes ends up winning 6 Super Bowls or something, you would just say, dude, that guy was just the GOAT. That guy was the dude. He's clearly the greatest to ever do it. Then yeah, there's literally zero shame. But as of right now, that's not the narrative that Lamar Jackson's trying to write.
I don't think, like people, I think they focus on his style of play, that he is, even though now he would be maybe a throwing quarterback, he runs. He's a running quarterback too. But I think we have to stop saying you can't win as a running quarterback. He obviously is in the AFC Championship game. Jalen Hurts a year ago in the Super Bowl and comes within 3 points of winning the Super Bowl or tying it, or 4 points of winning it. So I think we need to. It's a new day. If Josh Allen, if the Bills had one, heck, the last 7 weeks he was darn near a running quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I think we need to get rid of that. And secondly, Nick, the 1-3 record before this weekend, he wasn't as good a quarterback.
That's right.
He was more of a one-dimensional quarterback. The offense was more one-dimensional. So a team with time to prepare for the playoffs, they zeroed in on that. Now he's better. The offense is more versatile, and the receivers are better. So I don't think it's fair at all.
Nick, do you need to see him have a great game? So the game I pulled up was Russ when he beat the Chiefs. They won 24-9. He threw 12 completions for 114 yards.
No.
He had 3 touchdowns.
No. I don't know. It's the AFC Championship game. I don't care how he plays.
You think he could have like a 95-yard game?
Oh, well, I don't. By the way,
85 yards on
I
the
think
ground
he
and
could have a 100-yard game and they lose, and the narrative's still dead. Listen, Lamar Jackson is now a Hall of Famer. He's got 2 league MVPs. I'm counting this year's. He's going to win it.
Yeah.
It was a weird conversation surrounding him because he was discussed as if he had never won a playoff game. He had, but he had never played well in a playoff game. I didn't actually, it would have been a weird spot. Like, could he have played great and they lose that Houston team? Probably not. But say that had happened, that would have gone a long ways as well. I just needed to see him be awesome in the playoffs. And not only was he awesome in the playoffs, I think it was under the best possible circumstances because it was not a blowout. His defense dominated in the first half, but that punt return changed the tenor of the game. And that halftime, you had to be tight. I don't care what anybody says. That is a nervous 12 minutes at M&T Bank for the fans and for the players. Like, sweet, this is not happening again. But to Brew's point, this was his first playoff game during the prime of his career. I think that's, that's another way to look at it because he was injured the last 2 years. And he was awesome in the second half. He led them. Now, the defense was so good, he probably didn't have to be. But to me, the narrative's dead, especially because he has not ascended to a level of where he is chasing ghosts, right, like Mahomes is. Mahomes is chasing Brady, and I think that's it. Other people would say Brady, Montana, Manning, whatever. He's just chasing his contemporaries. And look around the league. Not a lot of guys who have been further than this round he's about to play in. Like Stafford has, obviously, but he's a generation kind of older. Burrow has gotten 1 game further than this. Hurts has gotten 1 game further than this. Josh Allen has gotten to this game 1 time. Justin Herbert has never gotten this far or even close to it. Dak has never gotten this far. The young guys, CJ and Jordan, obviously, they're yet to get this far. Kirk Cousins hasn't. Tua hasn't. Trevor hasn't. So who's he competing with? If the conversation is, does he need to win this game if we want to at some point to be able to have could he be the best quarterback in the league conversation, he needs to win this game and a lot more stuff has to happen. But other than Mahomes, who's the guy out there like, oh, that guy's got so many more pelts on the wall than Lamar? Like Burrow, because he's gotten 1 round further, I guess, but Lamar's been such a better regular season performer. So I I think that one game did change the narrative, and I think that's fair. Like, he needed to be great. He was great.
Okay. We haven't heard.
I don't think the narrative changed. I think how you felt about Lamar is how you felt about Lamar. I think if you liked Lamar and were a fan of Lamar and think that, he was already a really good quarterback and that the only reason why he didn't ball out in the playoffs prior was because of very specific circumstances like being young, not fully developed, and being banged up and injured, then you expected him to play well. I expected Lamar to play well in the playoffs because of the reasons that I just addressed of why he did in the past. And it's really convenient that Nick says that now when last week he didn't. He just said, look, Lamar doesn't show up. I don't trust him. He's not good, this, that, and the third. But now today he admits, well, Lamar wasn't fully developed. He wasn't in his prime, and he was also legitimately injured. Where was that analysis last week? Because it definitely wasn't there. So I think, if you're a Lamar hater and you don't like Lamar and you don't think he's that good or you think he's overrated, watching that game last weekend, you don't see him as being good. You say, oh, he could have easily thrown an interception, or he barely even threw for that many yards, or oh, that was all the defense that did that, and yada, yada, yada. But if you like Lamar and think he's special and really good, then you're like, dude, look what he did. He rushed for all these yards, threw for this many touchdowns. I don't remember his stats, obviously. And so I think that's kind of where that kind of goes. So I just don't think the narrative changed. I think if Lamar Jackson balls out and beats the Chiefs convincingly, that narrative changes. Or if he just goes toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and it's a back-and-forth shootout and the Ravens win, then I think that's, then that changes the narrative. Then you will have, then the question will be, not saying it's the right question, but they will say, did Lamar Jackson surpass Patrick Mahomes as the best quarterback in the? Is this the time for Lamar to go on his run now? Have the Chiefs missed their window? Travis Kelce's getting older and Andy Reid may retire, right? Like that becomes the narrative now. And again, I'm not saying it's the appropriate narrative, but I think those will be the questions, especially again, if Lamar Jackson plays against the Chiefs and proves to be, I am elite. Look, now I can throw the ball and I can run better than any of you. When Patrick Mahomes runs and scrambles, you're kind of like, like it looks kind of weird and goofy, honestly. And again, very skillful. He's obviously elite, but there's something about it that just looks amiss. Lamar Jackson looks like he's playing with a bunch of 5-year-olds. The way how he just cuts and drifts, and it just looks like he's barely even trying. And yet before you know it, he's like 20 yards down the field, or when it's time to, muscle up and tough up, he just barrels through everyone. So, the dude is a beast. So if he shows that, if his strengths are truly highlighted on Sunday and they win and it's truly because of him, and it's not because there was 2 interceptions and run back for a touchdown, 2 interceptions and run backs for touchdowns, 2 pick sixes of Patrick Mahomes or something, or a crazy fumble by Kelce or something, and it was the Ravens clearly win because of Lamar Jackson's brilliance and MVP level of play, then I think the narrative changes. Then I think people have to really face and say, dude, Lamar just led this team to the Super Bowl. He's obviously great. He's obviously elite. Look what he just did. He just beat the supposed, GOAT. So what, so we have to say that he's elite then. We have to say that he's probably the best quarterback in the NFL, at least this season. And then the real question is what happens next season? Will he continue to be the best quarterback? Or was this just a one-off year and will Patrick Mahomes get back to his self? Those are all the questions that we have, and that's when the narrative changes. If the Chiefs beat the Ravens and Lamar Jackson played pretty good, but, they just don't win, then the whole thing is that just Lamar's not good enough. That the Ravens, didn't have what it takes. That the difference maker was indeed Patrick Mahomes. But those are my thoughts on it. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on it. Do you think Lamar Jackson is elite? Do you think Lamar Jackson's narrative is set, or that it could change, and in what direction, either good or negative? I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Please let me know in the comments below, and please don't forget to subscribe. We are building an amazing community here, and I would truly love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.